Hey everybody, looks like iDubbbz has finally released a response video to the damning accusations his boxing coach gave him. So let's just jump right into it.
It's very obvious. I thought more people would be able to catch on. I am quiet, stoic, not talkative.
Ian, you are not stoic. I've delved a bit into stoicism, so I know a few things here and there about it. Being easily offended, crying easily, constantly harping on about what other people think about you is the antithesis to stoicism. You've grown more and more neurotic about this over the years, and hell, some stoicism back then would have actually done you well. The more you let these comments get to you, the worse things are gonna get.
She is the opposite of that. She is loud, very talkative, social. People struggle to understand that dynamic, I think, especially me being a person who has made a career of talking online.
Now, I actually have a similar dynamic with my girlfriend. She's quiet and introverted while I'm loud and extroverted. However, I never try to talk for her. I actually encourage her to speak when she gets asked a question, instead of speaking for her like what Anisa seems to do for Ian. And most importantly, I never go up to her and say, "You're hungry," or "My girlfriend's tired, we don't want to go." I let her decide that.
And there are still people accusing her of cheating, accusing me of being in an abusive relationship. None of this is true. And there is no evidence for any of this except, like, I guess, body language experts coming on and being like, iDubbbz is being stoic here, therefore he's in hell.
Okay, hang on. Watch the change there. Watch the change.
I don't know what the fuck that was. I have never gotten...
Look at Ian in this moment. Oh my God.
Like, he looks sad. No, he is disgusted at her. He's depressed. He's so disgusted
working
by this.
on.
He looks disgusted with this.
All I have to say is this is the only entertaining part of the video where Kino Casino is chirping him.
For some reason, well, not for some reason, for the reason of sexism and people's view on OnlyFans and them just not liking Anisa, they want to push forward a narrative that she is actively and continually cheating on me.
Go ahead, Ian. Keep baselessly blaming it all on sexism. I know this didn't work out for you for the first thousands of times you did it, but maybe it'll work out for the 1,000th time you do it?
What we're describing here is two grown men who are fantasizing about a stranger and his wife and what they do in the bedroom.
Ian, you're acting like this is a major privacy violation, but the fact is that your wife has an OnlyFans account and constantly shows explicit content of herself online. She also harps on about private details about you and her, like how she talked about your IBS on stream for your entire audience to hear.
Or don't do in the bedroom. That is creepy weirdo shit.
And here we have iDubbbz with the bull, folks. There's iDubbbz with the bull.
Okay, I was gonna take this out, but these guys are funnier than you ever will be, Ian.
If you're curious about the hairdresser these guys are talking about, I will point you to my disgraced boxing coach, Michael Briggs.
Wait, disgraced boxing coach? How exactly is he disgraced? Did you fire him? No, he was just disowned after you treated him like crap. He still does coaching at Bonafide Boxing, and the fact that I've shouted him out publicly more than you have really says a lot about your character, Ian.
For some reason, this stupid fucking loser and his dumb as rocks wife...
Lol, there's stupid dumb loser. Ian, I thought you matured and gained empathy. What happened? Now you're talking like a 7-year-old trying to insult the other boys on the playground. Be careful not to get your ass beaten again.
Decided to go on the H3 podcast. They already spilled their guts. They were getting paid like $5,000 to go on this podcast.
Okay, this is a lie. Ethan never paid Kate and Mike to go on their podcast. The $5,000 that Ethan gave them was after their appearance, and they made it very clear that they did not talk about this beforehand. Man, Ian, you're just giving people material to bitch about, aren't you?
Michael Briggs decided to invoke the name of one of his presumably friends and say that Anisa was like thirsting after him.
And every time you mention Michael Briggs, you lie about how he's disgraced, or you call him a dumb loser idiot. What's your point?
For whatever it's worth, every time Michael Briggs, my disgraced boxing coach, would reference Gabe, he would always refer to him as Gorgeous Gabe. I don't call him that. My wife doesn't call him that.
Ian doesn't know how nicknames work.
If you have some unresolved sexual tension or fantasies, whatever the fuck it is, you need to keep that shit to yourself and not project it onto other people.
Ian, your wife does OnlyFans. You have no right to talk about this, dude.
I wish the best to Gabe. Michael Briggs, on the other hand, absolute fucking creep weirdo.
Ian, all Michael Briggs did was bring up the fact that Anisa was super interested in this Gorgeous Gabe fella, and based on what the internet found, he was right. Anisa would constantly post pictures of you and him boxing, even posting a video where he beat you up badly in the ring, where she actually added Taco Bell sound effects every time Gabe hit you. You know what's worse, actually? She posted her 1-year marriage anniversary with you and Gabe in the front and center of the picture. That's weird, Ian. She also constantly talked about Gabe on your live streams and knew a suspicious amount of info on him. Did you know that he graduated from cosmetology school in 1996, Ian? Come on, Ian. Don't you think that's just a little bit weird? Like, who remembers that kind of information about a man who isn't even their husband? It's so ironic how Ian and Anisa refer to all their detractors as incels. But if you're in a long-term relationship, you understand why things like this are problematic. Imagine if I randomly told my girlfriend detailed facts about this girl I boxed with at Muay Thai and hung out with her all the time to quote-unquote get my hair done. This is a John Redcorn situation. Seriously.
They love the concept of like labeling someone a lolcow and then like bullying them and watching their life spiral out of control.
Isn't that what you kind of do to Ethan, Ian? You constantly wait for him to be embarrassed on the internet, then you jump on the hate wagon and attack him in a cowardly manner because you're too scared to be the only one attacking him.
Yeah, we just do it for laughs. The whole thing's entertainment. It's just just innocent guys just having a laugh.
I mean, if you've listened to Kino Casino, you know these guys don't have an agenda to push, and you also know they are probably the most enthusiastic haters you could ever imagine. The amount of glee they show in 1 second of their show is more than you've shown in any video or stream in the past 5 years, Ian.
Thankfully, Anisa and I are in a much safer and privileged position than many other people who are the targets of guys like this.
The targets of guys like this? Ian, you do realize that Kino Casino goes after people you'd normally hate, like Nick Fuentes, Ethan Ralph, and the Quartering, right? I'll admit they can get pretty mean sometimes, but a lot of the people they go after are genuinely horrible who deserve it.
Who want to bully them into submission.
The way I see it, Ashton is telling you directly the reason why he bullies people like you and Anisa online. He's never claiming to be completely innocent in all this. These guys don't pretend to be moral arbiters, Ian. Hell, the fact that he's telling you where you're messing up is actually a good thing. It's like if a schoolyard bully took your lunch money and told you why he did it and how you can avoid it in the future.
Why the fuck do you think he says it shouldn't be? Could that be because it's wrong and it's a mean, evil thing to do? To acknowledge that someone is suffering and deciding that you are going to attack them online continuously for the thing that they are, either insecure or struggling with?
Ethan Klein's harassment. Skulls. CPS.
This next guy is the perfect example of what I'm describing. He is being very critical of me talking to a therapist. And by the way, that wasn't even a therapy session. I just happened to cry in that moment. And I was like, this might be able to communicate authenticity.
Wait, communicate authentically? This is kind of disingenuous wording. Normally, I'd expect Ian to say, prove that I'm authentic, but instead, he sounds like he's saying he just wanted to appear to be authentic. I mean, we all know how he actually feels about the harassment Ethan and Hila receive, so
I'll include it.
And then Ian goes on a podcast with a therapist and gets extremely real with him, which is a profoundly stupid idea. Like eating with your mouth full on camera. He of all people should know better than to go on a therapist's podcast and vent about his very real problems on a public forum like that, because people will use that information against him.
Again, this is related to the harassment Ethan is getting. You guys know what I'm going to say next. I may as well skip a little bit ahead here.
Bro, what is going on? Anisa legitimately convinced him his entire being as a person is bad.
Did I once say my entire being is bad? You're allowed to be critical of yourself and the content you're making. You would benefit from being a little critical of the content you're making. Like, what the fuck is this?
Not exactly, but you completely condemn the edgy content that made you famous in the first place, Ian. It's the only reason you still have followers and people who watch you in the first place. You've condemned your own foundation, pulled out the ladder, and condemned anyone who took the same path that you did to reach fame.
He cannot be proud of a single thing he's ever done in his entire life. He just feels guilty about all of it because of Anisa.
Dude, I'm proud of plenty of things. I'm not just gonna go on stream and declare it. Like, what do you, like, it's so boring.
The thing is, Ian, you weren't exactly clear of what old content of yours you condemn and what you still like. So when you released that apology video, everyone, including myself, started wondering why exactly you hated your old content, and what you still like to this day. It'd be worthwhile for you to actually do a bit of digging into your old content to point out the good and the bad. Hell, I'd watch that actually.
It was my opinion that some of your content in the past was actually good before. It was actually logical. You made some good points. You don't need to feel so bad about every single thing. You know, maybe you did some bad shit. You said some slurs. That shit was bad. Whatever.
Dude, I know. I just, this is so frustrating.
Except you don't. You condemn your old content, Ian. You believe your content cops, other than the one on Ethan, are undeserved and you unlisted them. You don't believe in your own content anymore. That's the thing.
These commentators are commenting on is they're saying like, oh my gosh, that would crush me, basically, if my wife described me in that way or said that about me. And it's like, okay, it would hurt you. You're feeling bad through me. You think that I'm feeling those same feelings that you're feeling. I'm not.
If your wife brings up a very private matter on stream and talks about it openly in a humiliating way like Anisa did with your IBS, you should feel a little weird and upset with that. That is not normal at all. I have friends who have IBS and it's absolutely terrible to deal with. They're completely humiliated by it.
This is such fucking cope, man. Like, hearing Tectone say it, it's just like, it's reminding me how many times I've heard this fucking script. These people cannot fathom that the based epic N-word guy has changed his mind over time. It's got to be a woman's pussy or Hassan.
Ian's missing the point here. It's not that you changed, dude. It's how you changed. I'm 1000% okay if you don't want to say the N-word anymore, or any slurs. The problem is you stopped making good content. You and your wife became overly sensitive to any kind of banter online. You alienated everyone around you to invite the most toxic crowd on the internet. You ran a scam charity event. The list goes on. There's a reason why Joji, Max, and Chad are all able to move on from their edgy days and still not be hated. Because they did it right, unlike you, Ian.
Also, there are a lot of grown men out there who were outraged to find out that I changed my last name from Washburn to Jama when I married Anisa. I think some of these people think I'm trying to push a woke agenda or some shit.
I mean, Anisa basically said she hated your last name because it sounded too white. Specifically, she said that it sounded like the last name of people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. So I don't blame the people who are trying to say that it was a woke thing. Because It kind of was political, specifically left-wing politically based.
When my rancid boxing coach and his wife decided to go on the H3 podcast as like this mutual exchange of talking shit about Anisa and I in exchange for $5,000.
It's amazing how much you screwed yourself on this one by blatantly lying, Ian. That $5,000 was paid after, dumbass.
That was sort of under the premise that I owed them some sort of bonus money.
Yeah, I mean, like, we were also promised a bonus on CC1 and we never got it. But because Michael was so nice, he didn't want to, like, make Ian feel uncomfortable and ask Ian and Anisa about it.
And I was always under the assumption that there was no bonus because even though he told me there was a bonus, he then disappeared for 6 months and I never saw him. So I was like, was there a bonus or was there not a bonus?
There was never a bonus. I never spoke to these losers about a bonus. I was paying these people an hourly rate to do the job that I asked for them to do, and they got paid. This fucking loser with the beard got paid $32,000 for training an influencer to box, and she got paid $9,000 to film some of it.
So I'll actually defend Ian a bit on this point. This sounds like a he said, she said situation, so we may never know who's really telling the truth when it comes to the bonus pay. However, what Ian fails to show here is the part where Mike had to train both Ian and Anisa because Anisa demanded that she should be trained too alongside Ian. So technically, Ian should have actually paid them double. So he does kind of still owe his boxing coach.
They conveniently never talked to either one of us about it.
You confronted about that? You asked them, or you didn't want to
I just let it be.
Because I'm the same.
They conveniently don't have any text messages or emails or contracts that have anything to do with bonus money because that conversation didn't happen. They're lying to Ethan and his crew, and they're lying to the audience.
How is it that we put on this great event? We raised $1.3 million for charity, and he promised us a bonus. And then right after the event, he just kind of pretend like he's too busy to check in with us.
Too busy to check in with you? I don't need to fucking check in with you.
I mean, if you're supposed to box in a second event, it makes sense why your boxing coach would want you to come in semi-regularly to keep up your skills. This isn't exactly a big ask, Ian.
You weren't promised a bonus. I was doing my own shit. Why the fuck would I want to spend my time with you when I'm filming a show with Dax Flame? You guys are fucking losers.
You confronted about that? You asked them, or you didn't want to
I just let it be.
Because I'm the same.
If it was promised to you, if this imaginary bonus was promised to you, that should give you a lot of confidence to at least say, bonus?
What Ian fails to mention here is that Mike said that he felt bad about asking for the bonus because he believed it was a charity event. They're obviously not going to demand bonus pay if they believe all the profits are going to charity, which they weren't, by the way, Ian, asshole.
There's so many other truthful things that they could have focused on the podcast that would have made me look like a bitch to a certain sector of the internet.
Yes, and they did do that. They said a lot of things, actually. What's your point? When you really think about it, actually, their complaints about the bonus seem a lot more plausible because they had so many other things to complain about. So why would they just start telling random lies here and there? I mean, at this point, I'm beginning to believe their side of the story when it comes to the bonus because you've already shown yourself to be a complete liar, lying about Ethan Klein paying them to go on the podcast. So I think if push comes to shove, I would prefer to believe them and not you, Ian.
All right, everyone, that is going to do it for this episode of iDubbbz Complains.
Well, that was it for the video. Ian complained about Keno Casino and had a total of 2 complaints for Mike and Kate. The mention of Gabe and the mention of the bonus. No mention of Anisa being extremely titled. No mention of how they screwed their own fighters and how all of them disapproved of the H3 Content Cop video. No mention of how they refused to support Kate when she fought against child marriage in California. No mention of how they knew they were in debt before the event. No mention of the IBS clip. The list goes on. Apparently he has a live stream where he talks about all this, but he always seems to delete the VODs after he publishes them, so I have no idea how he expects people to see his full response to his boxing coach. He's just going to continue burning bridges with everybody and blame everybody around him except for him and his wife. So let's just let him stay bitter and lonely and poor in his mom's basement.